The Gates of Hell Open, a lesson on choices. Welcome back everyone to Mind Podcast. The opening of the gates of hell is not a joking matter. A venerable monk once said that those who indulge in hedonism will descend to hell to suffer, while those who practice good deeds will ascend to heaven. Although many are aware of this, not everyone makes the right choice. To lure people into hell, demons create enticing material temptations that people desire and pursue, but in reality all are deceptive, meant only to deceive people. There are two stories comparing heaven and hell, aimed at explaining human choices when faced with material and spiritual matters. Though these stories are light-hearted, they contain profound wisdom. The first story. After a director passed away, his soul was taken to meet Jesus at St. Peter's Basilica. There, everyone was reading the Bible and praising God. St. Peter allowed him to visit hell before making his decision. When he arrived in hell, he saw blue seas, white sands, bright sunshine, beautiful women singing and dancing, fine wine, and other pleasures. Upon returning, he chose hell. But when he returned, he faced mountains of knives, seas of fire, and boiling oil. He called out to St. Peter and asked about the beautiful things he had seen before. St. Peter replied that it was only a demo for testing. The second story. A successful woman who died in a car accident had her soul taken to heaven to meet St. Peter and was given a similar choice. In hell, she saw lush green golf courses, her friends and colleagues dining with lobster and caviar. She was very happy to be with them. She was then taken to heaven, singing hymns and passing through fluffy white clouds. After a day of experiencing, she chose hell. But upon returning, she saw hell as a barren land full of garbage, feces, and urine. Her friends were in tattered clothes, and vicious demons hugged her bewildered face and shouted, "Yesterday was just a greeting to sign a contract with you, but today you are one of us." Conclusion. If heaven and hell truly exist, isn't it true that every day we pursue worldly material temptations, we are moving closer to hell? Few choose a spiritual life to return to heaven. Recently, an article described a practitioner who, through the heavenly eye, saw the gates of hell open. This makes us seriously ponder this matter. The article stated that the practitioner often saw two large gates in another dimension open. One gate was the gate to hell, tall, dark, but decorated very luxuriously. Gaudily dressed female demons stood outside the gate to welcome guests. In front of the gate, there was a large feast with delicious food and enticing entertainment. Therefore, many people entered the gate of hell. The venerable monk shared that demons create enticing material things to deceive people, but all are deceptive. Many cannot distinguish, becoming confused and lost. He also saw many people dressed as monks and priests entering the gate of hell because they broke the precepts in their practice. Related lessons and stories. The heavenly realm is a place everyone strives to reach. According to information shared from a news source, the Hubble Space Telescope has captured images of heaven. Dr. Mosian, a believer in the existence of gods, said that the place they discovered is where God resides. Capturing the world of gods was not accidental, but some being influenced and directed the Hubble telescope to that position. Alongside the picture of heaven, another article revealed the process of Russian scientists discovering the portal to hell. Beginning in the 1970s, the former Soviet Union executed a large-scale underground drilling project. The drilling site was chosen in the Vysamo region, a sparsely populated area. They drilled the deepest hole ever, about 12.2 kilometers, making it the deepest military laboratory in the world. The exploration began on May 24, 1970, and stopped in 1994. By 1983, the drilling depth reached 7,000 meters, but they decided to stop. Only in 1993 did they drill an additional 262 meters, taking a full 10 years. The official reason given for stopping the drilling was insufficient funds. However, according to insider revelations, the real reason was that supernatural phenomena appeared in the hole. The technical drilling staff said that there was fundamentally no funding issue, but demons flew out from the bottom of the hole, making exploration impossible to continue. Dr. Ojakov explained these phenomena as follows. Previously, I did not believe in the theories of heaven and hell because I am a scientist, but now I cannot deny that hell truly exists. Needless to say, we were extremely shocked by these findings. We knew that what we saw with our own eyes and heard with our own ears was not an illusion. We are very sure that we found the gateway to hell. If heaven and hell truly exist, when faced with temptations leading people to hell, how can one discern? There is only one way, which is to keep one's heart kind, abandon excessive desires and lust, and listen to the call to goodness from the messengers of the gods. Certainly, you will avoid calamity and not fall into hell. The first story, the rooster's revenge for its owner. In the autumn of the year of the rooster during the Xunji period, 1644 to 1661, when the Qing dynasty ruled China, a monk passed through a market street in Namquan, Chaoping County. Standing in front of a shop, suddenly a rooster flew out from the shop and pecked at the monk's face. Seeing the monk's face pecked to the point of peeling flesh, people around helped to chase the rooster away. However, the rooster did not give up and continued to peck at the monk. The monk quickly left the shop, but the rooster still chased after him for more than 10 steps before stopping. On another day, as the monk passed by the same shop, he was once again attacked by the rooster, which pecked at his face until it bled, staining his clothes red with blood. The people on the street were even more astonished than before. 2 officials witnessed the scene and stopped the monk for questioning. His face was covered in wounds, and he appeared dazed and terrified, unable to speak. The officials quickly escorted the monk to the magistrate's office for interrogation. The monk detailed the incident as follows. About half a month ago, I stayed overnight at a bakery in a certain village. When I saw money hidden in a pouch, greed overcame me. Seeing no one around, I killed the shop owner and stole the money. After the owner died, his family brought the rooster to the market to sell, and someone from Nanquan bought it. Although the murder was reported to the authorities, I believe the case, having occurred in a remote village, had been forgotten. I never expected to encounter this fierce rooster again. The culprit knew in his heart that the rooster had come to avenge its owner. The rooster had witnessed the murder and remembered the killer's face. One day, recognizing the murderer, it rushed out to seek revenge for its master. Animals, too, have a sense of justice. This story is recorded in the Kongyuan magazine by Wu Chenyan from the Qing dynasty. The second story, the giant turtles report. Lu Wenbi, courtesy name Bai Yu, served as the magistrate of Jingshan County in the first year of the Jisheng era, 1341. One day, a giant turtle suddenly crawled into the hall, staring at him as if it had something to report. Lu Wenbi ordered his soldiers to follow the giant turtle to uncover the matter. After leaving Jingshan County and traveling 6 to 7 miles, they reached an abandoned well, where the giant turtle jumped in. Knowing that the answer lay within the well, they asked the villagers for help. Indeed, they found a corpse. 2 days earlier, the victim had gone out for business with another merchant. The latter had killed him for the money and thrown him into the abandoned well to cover up his crime. The victim's family explained that when he was alive, he never ate turtle meat. Whenever he saw turtles for sale, he would buy them and release them. Thus, the giant turtle helped clear his injustice. This story is recorded in the Jingshan Lu, Moral Lessons. These stories reveal a message. All things possess a spirit, not just humans. The innate nature of animals is not tarnished by the selfish desires formed after birth, and their intelligence often surpasses human imagination. Animals too know how to repay kindness. What happens now may be the result of previous actions, and present deeds may sow seeds for the future. Everything humans do leaves a mark, much like boats on water. A murderer must pay for their crimes, if not in this life, then in another. Heaven and earth serve as a vast mirror, and the universe acts as a super repository of information. People often think their deeds go unnoticed, but heaven and earth see everything. The heavens will arrange for a person to face the consequences of their actions. This principle also applies to animals living in the same space and time as humans. These are 2 stories of vengeance among humans, but there are also stories of animals repaying kindness, which are equally moving. The third story, the bird's grateful accusation. In the Xunji era of the Qing dynasty, a family named Lu lived in Yixing, Zhejiang province, surrounding their home with bamboo, creating a dense forest. Birds loved this place, residing there and filling the forest with their chirping. Mr. Lu, the forest's owner, cherished the birds and forbade hunters from shooting them. In rain, snow, or cold weather, he would bring grain to feed the birds in the bamboo forest. In the third year of Shunji, Mr. Lu's enemy falsely accused him of being a rebel, leading to his arrest and strict interrogation at the magistrate's office. At that time, thousands of prisoners were chained and their pleas piled up like mountains. Suddenly, 100 birds flew to the court, their noise filling the sky. As Mr. Lu was being interrogated, a bird flew to the desk, grabbed the false accusation, and swiftly flew away. The birds then dispersed. This unusual event surprised the interrogators, who sensed something was amiss. They summoned the accuser. After intense questioning, the truth emerged. Mr. Lu had been framed. Mr. Lu then built a pavilion in the district to commemorate the bird's loyalty and intelligence. This loyal bird pavilion was located in Bilian City during the Qing dynasty. The fourth story, the monkey that saved a village. In 2000, deep in the mountains of Chongqing, a black monkey and the mountain villagers created a miraculous story of gratitude. In late July 2000, Wang Jichen, a man living at the foot of Beiji Mountain, was gathering herds in the forest. Suddenly, a black figure fell from a tree. Startled, Wang was about to flee, but the small black figure swiftly grabbed his leg. Looking down, he saw a 2-year-old black monkey looking at him pitifully, whimpering, with its left hand bleeding. The monkey was seeking help. Without hesitation, Wang Jichen carried the small black monkey home. He washed the wound and applied herbal medicine. A week later, the monkey's wound healed and Wang Jichen released it back into the forest. Unexpectedly, the monkey didn't leave, staying around the Wang household, even helping with chores and scaring off wild boars, porcupines, or golden monkeys that damaged crops. Time passed, and one day the black monkey quietly left. At 3 a.m. in late September, Wang Jichen and all the villagers were asleep. Suddenly, Wang was awakened by a loud cry. Rushing out, he saw the black monkey had returned, frantically pointing to the mountain behind the house. Wang Jichen looked back and was shocked to see a massive landslide with huge boulders rolling towards the village. The black monkey spread its arms wide, urgently pulling Wang Jichen outside. He quickly gathered his family and ran, alerting 20 other villagers of the impending disaster. In the end, the villagers were saved. They searched for their savior and found the monkey on a tree, joyfully calling out, as if blessing those who had escaped death. This is a fascinating story of the karma and retribution spanning 3 lifetimes. After Empress Sui passed away, the ghost of the afterlife came to take her to see King Yama. King Yama, in anger, imprisoned her and condemned her to hell, where she was transformed into a being with a neck as thin as a needle and a belly as large as a basket, unable to eat or drink, covered in sores with countless maggots clinging to her, suffering endlessly. After a period, Empress Sui was reincarnated as a snake, continuing to endure excruciating torment. The first retribution. Long ago, in a monastery divided into east and west quarters, there was an earthworm in front of the east room that would hear the monks chanting sutras day and night. With its innate intelligence, it would cry out at exactly the 5th watch, prompting the abbot to wake the disciples for chanting and meditation. The abbot of the west room, noticing this, scolded his disciples for not being as diligent as their eastern counterparts, who would rise at the 5th watch daily to chant and meditate. One day, a disciple from the west asked those in the east how they managed to wake up so early every day. They replied that since the appearance of the earthworm in front of their Dharma hall, it cried out at exactly the 5th watch, and their abbot would wake them upon hearing its call. Jealousy grew in the heart of a disciple from the west, and one day, while the east abbot and his disciples were away, he boiled a pot of water and poured it into the worm's hole, killing it. The next day, the east disciples did not hear the worm's cry and found it dead, reporting this to their abbot, who chanted to liberate its soul. The worm was reincarnated as a kind woodcutter who made a living by chopping wood in the forest. The west disciple, having committed the sin of killing, was reincarnated as a monkey but still believed in Buddhism. One day, the woodcutter found a dilapidated temple in the forest, and fearing the Buddha statues would be damaged by rain and wind, bought materials to repair the roof. Another time he saw 7 scholars struggling to cross a stream and hurriedly placed stones to create a path for them. The mountain god and earth deity, witnessing his deeds, reported to the heavens, saying that a kind woodcutter on earth had repaired the 3 treasures hall and built a bridge, earning great merit. The second retribution. The woodcutter would daily collect flowers in the forest to offer to the Buddha. Nearby, a monkey would also bring flowers to the Buddha, but each time it would replace the woodcutter's flowers with its own. Curious, the woodcutter hid one day and saw the monkey replacing his flowers. He angrily chased the monkey, which hid in a crevice, and the woodcutter sealed it with a large rock, causing the monkey to die of starvation. The woodcutter lived a long life and was reincarnated during the Liang dynasty as Emperor Shaoyan, known as Emperor Wu of Liang. The monkey was reincarnated in northern Wei as Ho Jing, who later became a general. Retribution for slandering Buddhism. Emperor Wu of Liang was kind-hearted and revered Buddhism, considering the monk Qigong as his teacher. His wife, Empress Sui, also revered the monk Yun-gong as her teacher. One day, monk Yun-gong held a Dharma lecture, and Empress Sui invited Emperor Wu to listen. Emperor Wu invited monk Qigong to join. During the lecture, Yun-gong drank wine and ate meat, prompting Qigong to ask why. As a monk and teacher of the Empress, he did not maintain a pure and solemn demeanor while lecturing. Yun-gong replied, "I eat meat and drink wine as though I have not consumed them." Qigong retorted, "I see your actions as though they have not been done." Not long after, Yun-gong fell ill and died, reincarnated as a cow. Knowing this, Qigong told Emperor Wu, who did not believe him. One day, while outside the city, they saw farmers working with a mottled cow. Qigong pointed out that this was Yun-gong. Skeptical, Emperor Wu called out 3 times and the cow knelt and wept. Qigong explained that Yun-gong, who had lectured without purity, now faced the retribution of being reborn as a cow. Upon hearing this, the cow ran into an iron pillar and died instantly. However, he still could not give up his luxurious lifestyle and often invited monk Qigong to attend banquets with singing and dancing, which greatly displeased Qigong. During a lively performance by the palace maidens, Emperor Wu of Liang asked monk Qigong, "How is the performance by the palace maidens?" Monk Qigong replied, "I do not know." Emperor Wu of Liang said, "The maidens are performing right in front of you. How can you not know?" Monk Qigong replied, "If your majesty does not believe me, bring 3 prisoners sentenced to death from the prison here, and I will explain." Emperor Wu of Liang had 3 condemned prisoners brought to kneel before monk Qigong. Qigong said, "These 3 men are condemned to death. Now I will place a bowl of water on each of their heads. If they can watch the performance without spilling a drop, I will ask the emperor to pardon them and allow them to return to their homes. If they spill even a single drop, the original sentence will be carried out." The 3 prisoners did as they were told, kneeling before the hall watching the performance. At the height of the performance, monk Qigong said to Emperor Wu, "Your Majesty, ask the prisoners how they found the performance." Emperor Wu of Liang asked, "Prisoners, how did you find the performance? Was it good?" The prisoners replied in unison, "We do not know." Emperor Wu of Liang said, "The maidens are performing right in front of you. How can you not know?" The prisoners answered, "We were only concerned with our lives and had no mind to watch the performance." Monk Qigong smiled and said, "It is the same for practitioners." Emperor Wu of Liang was enlightened upon hearing this and pardoned the prisoners, who gratefully returned home. Another day, Emperor Wu of Liang asked monk Qigong, "I have given alms, built temples, and offered to the Buddhas and monks. Does this earn me great merit?" Monk Qigong replied, "There is no merit at all." Emperor Wu of Liang asked, "You said that in my previous life as a woodcutter, I repaired the temple roof, sheltered the 3 treasures, and built the 7 stars bridge, earning boundless merit. Now, as an emperor, I have built countless temples and monasteries and made offerings to monks. Why is there no merit?" Monk Qigong replied, "In your previous life, as a woodcutter, you acted out of a pure heart, voluntarily repairing the temple and building the bridge with your own strength, which brought you great merit. Now, as an emperor, you build temples and monasteries by commanding the people, causing them hardship. Therefore, there is no merit in these actions." Emperor Wu of Lian found this explanation reasonable and was enlightened. Empress Sui orders the killing of monk Shigong. One day, Empress Sui angrily ordered monk Shigong to be killed. She struck the drum and had forbidden foods like ginger, garlic, and meat brought to the imperial garden. Hearing the drum, Emperor Wu of Liang rushed to intervene. He scolded Empress Sui, predicting she would face retribution. Indeed, not long after, Empress Sui fell ill and died due to her blasphemy against the monks. After her death, her soul was taken by the ghost of the afterlife to see King Yama. King Yama, in anger, imprisoned her in hell, transforming her into a being with a neck as thin as a needle and a belly as large as a basket, unable to eat or drink, covered in sores with countless maggots clinging to her, suffering endlessly. After a period, she was reincarnated as a snake, continuing to endure excruciating torment. The story continues. After the empress's death, Emperor Wu of Lian did not enter the palace for a long time. One day, he visited the inner palace and heard a noise from the tower. Looking up, he saw a snake on the Phoenix Tower crying out for help. Startled, he asked, "Who are you?" The snake replied, "I am Empress Sui. Due to my slander against Buddhism and harm to monk Shigong, I have now faced retribution, reincarnated as a snake. Please, out of our past relationship, invite the compassionate monk Qigong to recite sutras for my salvation." Emperor Wu of Lian, moved by past feelings, arranged a grand ceremony and invited monk Qigong to preach. The third retribution. One day, Emperor Wu of Lian asked monk Qigong, "When will I achieve enlightenment?" Monk Qigong did not respond but pointed to his throat. Emperor Wu of Lian did not understand and asked again. Monk Qigong said, "Your Majesty, living in luxury, cannot attain enlightenment. You must retreat to the mountains to achieve Buddhahood." Emperor Wu of Lian, upon hearing this, packed his belongings and went to Mount Qing to practice. Knowing Emperor Wu was about to face the retribution for his past deeds, monk Qigong also took his leave. Emperor Wu's siege. After monk Qigong left, General Hao Jing of Northern Wei besieged Mount Qing. Emperor Wu was trapped, with food supplies running low. In his desperation, he lost faith in Buddhism. Just then, monk Qigong appeared in the sky, urging, "This is the karma from your past lives. Do not lose faith in your practice." Witnessing the karma of monk Yungong, Emperor Wu of Lian happily accepted starving to death at Qingtai. The mortal world is a place for people to repay debts and show gratitude. Many daily events that we consider coincidences are actually arrangements by a higher power. Believers create good karma and perform virtuous deeds, while non-believers accumulate karma day and night. Life is full of endless cycles of retribution. Only through forgiveness and tolerance can one find liberation from all sins. The fisherman who was caught by a fish. A man was eating a familiar, delicious piece of fish when suddenly he began to choke, his eyes rolling back, his mouth wide open, writhing in pain before dying. Onlookers found a fishing hook lodged in his throat, causing chills. He was a professional fisherman who had killed countless fish for fun, leading to his tragic end. Here are 3 cautionary tales for those who indulge in killing animals for sport. Finding pleasure in fishing. Lin Jiapeng was a government official and an avid fisherman, a member of a fishing club. On weekends, he would sail out to sea, fishing while drinking wine and enjoying delicacies, experiencing great pleasure. Members relished fresh fish, fine wine, and earthly joys. Years ago, the club was vibrant, but recently membership dwindled from 30 to 7 to 8 members. The atmosphere grew heavy, and enthusiasm for fishing waned. Despite Lin Jiapeng's skepticism about karma, his solitary efforts couldn't revive the club's spirit due to 2 frightening incidents. Swallowing a fishing hook. The first incident involved veteran member Aban. On a Sunday, Aban and his wife visited his father-in-law's lavish birthday feast with an abundance of meats and seafood. Aban, a lover of fish and innards, quickly indulged. In his haste, he swallowed too much, choking on something hard. He couldn't breathe or cry for help. His brother, noticing his distress, rushed to assist, but Aban's eyes rolled back and he collapsed. They hurried him to the hospital, but he died en route. The doctors performed an autopsy and found a fishing hook lodged in his throat. The hook, embedded in the fish's innards, protruded into his throat. Attempts to remove it only worsened the situation. This tragic scene, coupled with Aben's fishing prowess, left witnesses convinced of the karma of his actions. His death, with the hook in his throat, mirrored the agony of the fish he caught, a fishing enthusiast's grim fate. The second story is even more peculiar. Club member Mr. Yang, a fishing champion, also loved riding his electric bike with his wife. One night, after visiting a friend, he drove home on a familiar road. Suddenly, he saw a large river which had never been there before. To avoid falling into it, he swerved and crashed into a roadside pole. When he woke up in the hospital, his body healed quickly except for severe mouth injuries. His lips and mouth were terribly wounded, unable to eat. Despite multiple surgeries, his lips remained torn, resembling a fish's mouth. Doctors tried everything, but his condition persisted. One day, his wife remarked, "Your mouth looks just like the fish you catch." This comment struck a chord with Mr. Yang, recalling the fish he had injured with hooks. Deeply moved, he and his wife visited a temple to sincerely repent, vowing never to fish again. Miraculously, his mouth began to heal, and he was discharged a week later. Sharing his story with fellow members, he persuaded many to quit fishing. Eventually, Lin Jiapeng also gave up fishing, and the club disbanded. Fishing is an extremely cruel activity. Imagine how painful it would be to have a sharp hook pierce through your lips and gums. Yet many people find pleasure in fishing, tirelessly catching fish without any regard for their suffering. The argument that fishing cultivates patience is absurd. Such a statement reveals a complete lack of compassion. Besides fishing, many people also take pleasure in hunting birds, inadvertently creating negative karma for themselves. Retribution for randomly hunting birds. In the household of Ji Xiaolan, there was a servant named Wang Fa. He was skilled in crafting items and could make a very accurate air gun. With this gun, he could shoot birds with unerring accuracy, killing dozens of small birds daily. Wang Fa had an only son named Ji Linzhou. At the age of 12, Ji Linzhou suddenly developed sores all over his body that resembled burns, with metal rings inside each sore. It was baffling how the metal got inside his body. Wang Fa sought medical help everywhere, trying every possible treatment, but nothing worked, and his son eventually died in agony. The cruelty of killing fish for fun. Fish and meat are important food sources for humanity, leading to the existence of fishermen, hunters, and butchers. This may be seen as part of their destiny. When we do not rely on fishing for a living, but kill for fun, it goes against the natural order and creates bad karma. By understanding karma, we realize that every action leads to a result. Good actions bring good results, and bad actions bring bad results. So if it's just for fun, please stop fishing and hunting birds, not for the sake of the animals, but for your own sake. Let fishermen, hunters, and butchers do their ordained work while we do ours. We can find other legitimate hobbies that do not harm living beings. Then, our lives will naturally become more peaceful. Devout Buddhists still end up in hell. The shocking reason. Aolan was a devout and pious girl. Unable to bear the grief of her father's death, she fell ill and bedridden, eventually passing away. 7 days later, she revived and recounted her experience of meeting bodhisattvas, learning her father's fate, and traveling through the underworld. She saw acquaintances who believed in Buddha but were suffering in hell, ultimately learning the reasons behind their fates. Today, let's uncover the true causes together with Meili. Dying and reviving after 7 days, witnessing karma and retribution during the Qing dynasty. In Wujian, Jiangsu province, there lived a devout Buddhist named Kuai Lanzhou. He was always happy to help others and was kind-hearted, so people in need often sought his assistance. Every morning, he would first read the Diamond Sutra and meditate in his family's Buddha hall every evening. His daughter, Olan, influenced by her father, also became a devout Buddhist. In middle age, Kuai developed severe, unhealing sores on his back and eventually died. His death caused his daughter immense grief. Hearing her father's lamentations, she lost faith in Buddhism. Her father had said, "I revered the gods and Buddha my whole life and found joy in helping others, yet my fate was suffering without divine protection." These words deeply wounded Olan, leading her to lose faith even more. Her family remarked, "Your father was so devout, yet the gods did not protect him. Are the gods and Buddha truly powerful?" This only deepened her sorrow, causing her to fall ill. She could barely drink water, let alone eat. wasting away to a mere skeleton. Her servants feared she wouldn't live much longer. One day, Ulan requested a hot water bath, asking for a wooden basin. She instructed her servants to avoid using dirty objects, saying, "After washing, I will ascend to the lotus world to meet the bodhisattva." After washing, she sat cross-legged on a cushion, closed her eyes, and her breathing weakened. Shortly after, she passed away. Her family, following her instructions, placed her body in a box, not a coffin, and left it in a room. 7 days later, her body remained soft and warm, with a faint pink hue on her face. On the 7th night, her family heard noises from the box and heavenly music. They opened the box to find Ulan alive. She clasped her hands together, saying, "Wonderful, wonderful. Buddha is in everyone's heart. I tell you, hell is real. Good and evil reap their rewards like shadows following the body." Experiencing the underworld and seeing the truth, her family eagerly asked about her experiences. Ulan recounted how her soul left her body, traveling through a hazy golden light. She began reciting Buddhist scriptures, and the surroundings brightened, revealing flags and canopies descending from the clouds. In the distance, she saw radiant clouds and a gentle bodhisattva looking at her. She immediately knelt and pleaded for help to escape suffering. The bodhisattva said, "You should not be here. Return quickly," and sprinkled holy water from a willow branch, calming and enlightening her. She asked about her father's whereabouts. The bodhisattva revealed that her father was enjoying blessings in the second heavenly realm and would ascend higher. She was told to cultivate diligently to reunite with him. Journeying through hell, Bodhisattva said, "Do not be emotional. Since you are here, let the heavenly emissary take you on a tour of hell so people can understand the consequences of evil deeds." The heavenly emissary descended in a halo of light and took her to the underworld, where she met King Yama. Surrounding him were fierce demons. The emissary conveyed the Bodhisattva's message, and King Yama ordered the demons to guide her through the different levels of hell. In one level of hell, she saw two people she knew. One was an old woman named Yi from the north gate of Wujiang, who was known for her diligent daily chanting and devotion to Buddha, often referred to as a virtuous person by the townspeople. Despite her reputation, she was condemned to the freezing hell, shivering and unable to stand. Seeing this, she asked, "She believed in Buddha. Why must she suffer?" The demon replied, "This woman had a strong greed. She used Buddhism as a pretext to solicit donations everywhere, but used the money for personal gain, charging high interest and exploiting the poor. Hence, she must endure this suffering." Next, she was taken to another place where she saw her sister-in-law, who had remained a widow in the past. Her legs were nailed to a door, causing immense pain. She asked, "When did you come here? What sin did you commit to suffer like this?" The demon replied, "Your sister-in-law harbored intense jealousy, forbidding her husband from taking concubines, which caused the family line to end. She also treated the servants harshly, beating and cursing them severely. She said, 'I know she didn't eat beef and always worshipped at temples. Wasn't that enough to atone for her sins?' The demon said, 'Those were minor good deeds on the surface, insufficient to offset her sins.' Afterwards, she was taken to the Naihei Bridge. The bridge was several stories high and only a few inches wide, with poisonous snakes in the river below, ready to bite anyone who fell. She saw her cousin there, which puzzled her as she had visited him the day before when he was ill. At this point, her family explained, "Yesterday, he suddenly died from an acute illness. Indeed, good and evil have their rewards. That day, he used the excuse of visiting you to steal all your money and jewels." Ulan continued, "I also saw Aunt John from the South Gate, who died in childbirth with her newborn submerged in a pool of blood. I pleaded with the heavenly messenger to save her, and he said that on a snowy night, she had saved a beggar woman and her child from freezing to death. The heavenly messenger then released a lotus flower, allowing Aunt Jang and her child to climb onto it and reach the other shore." Witness accounts and rebirth. A servant who was listening immediately reported, "I am the wet nurse for Aunt Jong from the South Gate. Last night, my mistress died in childbirth, but today she miraculously revived, saying that the young lady had saved her in the underworld. Now both mother and child are safe and sound, and she sent me to thank you." Everyone was amazed and moved by what Ulan recounted about her visit to hell. They all vowed to change their ways, to do good and accumulate virtue. After recovering, Ulan lived for another 36 years, remaining devoted to Buddha. The moral of the story. Dear friends, hearing this story about visiting the underworld, we realize that outward appearances can deceive the mortal eye but not the divine. Merely professing belief in the gods and Buddha is not enough. One must have true faith and selflessly do good for others. Only through sincere cultivation and self-improvement can one reach a better place after death. As the saying goes, the robe does not make the monk. We must look at actions in the heart to truly understand. What are your thoughts on this story? Please leave a comment and share with everyone.